Hello, my wonderful friends. Sally the Seeker here. I hope everyone's doing well. I feel fine, but I still have my gravelly throat going on. It's just one of those things that lasts a while. I feel fine, but it just takes a while to get through it. So bear with me, and we'll just try to do less talk and more Darrell. I don't know which is worse, right? But so in my last video, I think there was some point where something came to me, and I was talking about how it always really irritated the hell out of me how when Darrell would ask questions of the witness / victims and say, were you or any of your family members, did they suffer any injuries? And a lot of the people would say, not physical. And then he just kind of, swept it under the rug, or just, as if the mental trauma didn't mean anything. And I think it means everything. Now, of course, the physical pain that he did to a lot of these people that they'll have to live with the rest of their lives is horrendous. But the psychological, I think that takes a lot longer to heal. And it really ticks me off how much he dismisses that. And so that was when at that part in my last video, I said, you know what, that reminds me, I want to share one with you. And so this one is when he, under direct testimony, one of his own witnesses, and probably most of you all have seen this one, that was an example of one of those that I talk about, the psychological damage these things do to people. And this one here, she actually came, Katrice did, the one that we're getting ready to watch, came right on the coattails of Kathleen Darrell. He asked her all of these usual stupid questions. And then Attorney Zach cross-examines her and starts, talking about all 4 of her children that were hit. Something he didn't even mention in his direct. And the first time I saw it, I'm sitting there thinking, did he not know? I mean, I do know that she did not witness them being hit, thank God, probably. But it would have to have been somewhere in the police report. So after Zach did that, and she went through all of her, explaining, and I doubt there was a dry eye in the courtroom. This is the look he has right after that. So he did not do any redirect. He acted here. He looks like he's like, oh no. But now when I think about it, I'm thinking, you know what? He probably did know. He would have had to have known. It had to have been somewhere there in that report. And that's just a part of him that I think is disgusting. Now, it looks believable enough right there, but I don't know, after I've watched him enough, I just don't believe anything. He's so much better at lying than telling the truth. I don't believe it. But it does look, as you notice, he looks, he looks visibly disturbed there. But, so now I'm going to go on and go on with the video where he does this dreadful direct questioning of this witness / victim. His witness, Katrice Babiasz. And as you'll see, he's like taking his time, to call her to the stand and ask how many people are on the list and who's left, how to pronounce her name. Because, of course, the state did the work for him, and he doesn't write anything down, and he just expects everyone to just, be his little servant or secretary or whatever. So we'll get on with the video, and I'll see what you think, if you think the same thing as I do.
So only one more person here, right?
It's my understanding, sir.
He should have kept up with his own damn list.
Would that be correct, Attorney Alper?
Yes.
Jeez. Doing all his work for him. Mm-hmm. Do what you do best. Waste everyone's time. He loves the control he has of making everyone wait. He may be going to prison for 1,000 years. He's chained to the desk.
Defense calls Katrice. I don't know how to say the last name.
Can you give me the spelling that you have?
Don't help him.
Babiasz.
Learn your own people's name.
Babiasz? What's your last name?
Babiasz.
Babiasz. All right.
See,
Thank you. You are at the witness stand. Would you please raise your right hand? My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Katrice Babiasz, Katrice Babiasz.
Thank you. My apologies for mispronouncing that earlier. Go ahead, your witness.
Good afternoon, Miss Babiasz.
Correct.
I'm surprised I got it right.
yeah, me too.
What do you do for a living?
I am a law enforcement dispatch supervisor.
And how long have you been doing that now?
I've been in law enforcement for 16 years.
The evening of November 21st, 2021, were you on duty that evening?
I was not.
What were you doing that evening?
I was attending the Waukesha Christmas parade with my family.
And do you recall what time you arrived there with your family that evening?
I arrived to the parade shortly after it started, so it was right after 4 p.m.
And do you recall where you were positioned at with your family when you arrived at the parade that evening?
Yes.
And where were you positioned at?
I was towards the beginning of the parade. I was on Main Street where it connects with White Rock. Okay.
Did anything catch your eye that evening when you were positioned watching the parade with your family?
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock Avenue. The vehicle caught my attention because people started yelling, and the driver was honking the horn.
And do you recall, to the best of your knowledge, it's been a little bit, the driver of the vehicle you observed was honking his horn? Was it gesturing to people?
Yes.
And what do you see? What did you see the gesturing as?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
What was the gesturing?
What was the driver gesturing?
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So he was taking his hand and going like this, really rapidly. aggressively.
So for the record, the witness had her right hand up above, probably above her, I wouldn't say at a 90-degree angle, but somewhere maybe at a 45-degree angle with her hand, waving back and forth multiple times in a rapid motion. Go ahead.
You yourself being in law enforcement and just based on what you were observing, the driver of the vehicle you observed was honking his horn and gesturing with this motion. Would you take that motion as trying to alert people to move out of the way? Grounds.
Sustain us to the form of the question, please rephrase.
How did you yourself take that gesturing?
I took that gesturing as the driver was telling people to get out of his way.
Do you back up? Did the vehicle pass pretty close to where you were positioned?
Yes, the vehicle almost struck my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall seeing the driver?
I looked the driver right in the eyes.
And how did the driver look?
Ooh.
The driver looked like through me.
What do you mean through you? Describe what you mean by
I
through.
think you know.
I feel that it is very hard to explain that look, but it was very frightening.
Yeah, like you wanted to mow over people, no doubt.
Do you recall what the driver was wearing?
The driver had a hoodie sweatshirt or sweatshirt on, and something on his head. I wasn't sure if it was the hood of the sweater or maybe a beanie hat. It was winter. I'm not 100% sure.
Were you able to see any hair?
I did see hair, yes.
How would you describe the hair?
The hair on the head was in front, like dreads down here from what I could see underneath the hood or the hat. And then there was facial hair, beard and mustache.
Sounds like
did the
Hold
vehicle?
on, I just need to make a record of, she was also using her hands, that's okay, to indicate at the neck, like under the chin neck area, with her hands coming down a few inches to indicate what she was describing as hair being seen from the driver. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
When you observed the vehicle approaching, was the vehicle speeding?
When the vehicle was approaching from White Rock, the vehicle was not speeding at that time.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall there being any barriers present where you were positioned at?
Yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle you observed had any tinted windows?
I do not recall.
Were you able to make out a license plate number of the vehicle, being that it had passed so closely by you?
No, once the vehicle continued past my position, I was more concerned about my children that were with me.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, just like everyone else.
I'm assuming at some point you spoke with law enforcement about what you saw that evening. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And do you recall what agency that was?
I do.
And what agency was that?
The FBI.
At what point were you not able to see the SUV once it passed you?
I lost sight of the SUV once it went into a bunch of people.
Mm.
Do you recall what date it was that you spoke with the FBI agents on? Was that the same evening or a few days after?
It was not the same evening of the parade, but it was that week. It was within the next few days.
The day you spoke with FBI agents, do you recall stating the driver was wearing a red top that appeared to be made out of a sweatshirt-like material?
I don't recall exactly what was said to the agent, but I do remember the sweatshirt, yes.
A red sweatshirt? Did you file any claims related to the incident?
No, I did not.
This is your witness. Why didn't you study up on her? Read your folders, your police reports. Didn't do it, did you?
So today, your first time bringing up your alleged injury?
Alleged.
No, it is not.
I like how she just answers yes, no. Doesn't give him too much information. Make him work for it.
At some point, you were subpoenaed by the district attorney's office to testify here to testify in this trial. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
From the district attorney's office, it was in July.
And do you recall whom you spoke with about the information regarding the subpoena?
I contacted the victim witness advocate, Carrie Peterson.
You contacted the Ms. Peterson after receiving the subpoena?
Correct. The instructions told me to.
Okay. You ever spoke with anyone directly at the district attorney's office?
No. Correction. Yes, when I walked in today, I met there and let them know I was here, and then they walked me into a room, and I waited until I was called.
Because remember, they called her for you.
So before today, you had no interactions with anyone related to the district attorney's office besides the, I think you said victim advocate?
So the victim advocates who have been in connection with and letting me know when to come and all of that.
Of the three district attorneys seated to my left at this table, had you had any interactions of any kind with any of those three district attorneys?
I have not.
Oh, she can't point them out now for
And I
him.
believe, just for the record, when you asked that, Attorney Basie was just pointing to herself and the two people next to her, so it's clear, because since there's two tables.
What would be the reason for that?
Since there's two tables of individuals, I think she wanted to make the witness aware. And I just wanted to point it out for the record since it happened.
What is that dumb expression?
Working in law enforcement for 16 years, I'm sure this isn't your first time being involved in a trial. Would that be fair to say?
I have not been in a trial for law enforcement. No, I have not.
You've never witnessed a trial, sat at a trial, been in a trial?
I have not.
Have you ever testified in any way before today?
That's your own list.
Grounds.
Overruled, you may answer.
I have testified before, yes.
So it would be fair to say that you would have knowledge of where an alleged defendant and a district attorney would sit in the courtroom, correct?
I know where they're sitting, yes.
This has nothing to do with saving himself. Nothing to do with his case and how he's going to protect
Want
himself.
to back up a little bit to the observation of the vehicle the evening of November 21st, 2021. While you observed the vehicle approaching your position, did you see it strike anyone?
I did not see the vehicle strike anyone, no.
From your opinion, observing the vehicle approaching your position, did it appear that the vehicle attempted to strike anyone?
Yes,
And why would you come to that conclusion?
because I saw an officer have to jump out of the way in order for
When
the,
it was approaching,
when it was
question
a,
was when it was approaching.
I'm
Hold on,
confused.
hold on, everyone. The question was asked, this witness is going to be allowed to answer the question fully
Yeah.
without interruption. Go
Yeah.
ahead and
Let her
the
answer it.
question.
Thank you. I misunderstood his question, I guess.
Answer the question
Okay.
that as you understood it.
Yep, so I saw that an officer had to get out of the way, and he was attempting to stop Mr. Brooks from
The boys still run
driving
with that one.
through the parade, and he was at the last minute jumped out of the way from the vehicle, otherwise he would have been struck.
You just used the name Mr. Brooks for the first time that you've been testifying.
Oh my God.
Would that be fair to say?
I don't understand your question.
You just used the name Mr. Brooks for the first time since you've
Getting
been
all
testifying. Is that fair to
testy
say?
now.
That's fair to say, yes.
Why haven't you used that name before? You've been up there for quite some time.
Objection. Can anyone object?
I didn't need to.
These questions are not
So
relevant.
what changed for the last question that you needed to?
Oh my gosh.
I don't understand your question.
Really? It's,
You
look at
just
him.
stated that you didn't mention the name before because you didn't need to. So what about the last question that you answered made you feel like you needed to use the name for that question and no question before that?
Objection? Nobody's going to object?
I don't know.
Why is nobody objecting? I love Attorney Basie. She has that really maternal look and feel to her. You know? I love that about her. I love all of them. They're all unique. All three of them. He thinks it's all some big, he's getting all paranoid, I would assume.
Out of curiosity, how did you come to the knowledge of that name?
Oh my gosh.
It was on the subpoena I received last week.
Yeah. Hello. You sent her a subpoena.
You just stated a little bit earlier in your testimony that you received your subpoena in July. Now you said last week.
Those are both correct.
She received
So
2.
you received 2 separate subpoenas?
Correct.
What was the difference between the 2?
One was from the district attorney's office and one was from you.
Yeah. There you go.
So the one that you received from the district attorney's office in July didn't have a case caption on it?
Okay, what's a case caption?
Oh God. Just so annoying.
Just 1 second. 1 second, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I just have to this line of questioning. I really don't know what the relevance is.
Yes,
for
thank you.
the purpose
Attorney
of this
Basie.
trial.
There was no objection at first.
And you know what's so annoying too? He's starting to tell her almost like he's going to testify. I can remember at the beginning, he didn't know what the hell a case caption was. Probably it's bugging him though because he's like, oh, well, she's with law enforcement. But he didn't have any idea in what capacity. She could be a 911 operator. There's so many other departments. But he's like I still don't think he should be, I'm getting so annoyed. Because he didn't know what it was. But now, he really is. He's playing this role. I'm a lawyer. Look at me. Oh my gosh, here we go.
There's no.
I'm going to sustain the objection under 906-11.
Thank you.
I don't believe it advances.
No, it doesn't. Quit looking for it. She's sustained it.
I think
Trial.
I think you know where I was getting at.
Then you need to ask your question directly, sir. Go ahead. I'm sustaining it as to the form of the question.
When you were subpoenaed in July by the district attorney's office, the subpoena didn't contain information to the case you were being subpoenaed for?
Objection relevance.
Grounds?
Sustained. You don't have to answer that. I sustained the objection on those grounds. Ask the question I believe that you're trying to ask, not that one.
Oh dear, I don't know which one she's talking about. And why is she
The name
coaching
that you
him?
mentioned, Mr. Brooks, anywhere on the subpoena that you received from the district attorney's office in July?
Objection relevance.
Grounds.
Oh, sustained.
Grounds for the sustained. That
Not
was
relevant.
What? Mind-boggling.
Wah. Also, sorry to take away from it, but I didn't realize, in the prior clip, you could hear hammering in the background. I guess I was so into what Mr. Brooks was belly aching about that I didn't even notice. But our neighbors are doing some sort of construction, and I could hear the hammer, but I believe you can still hear everyone speaking. But I did want to apologize for that little background noise. But Lord have mercy, you can tell he's starting to get annoyed and triggered. Okay, here we go.
It's not relevant. Next question.
That's the answer. That was not asked nor answered.
Under 90611, please ask a question, sir.
Man, what is y'all people trying to pull, man? This is ridiculous.
Mr. Brooks, if you don't ask another question that's relevant and probative under 90611, then I will turn the witness over to the state for their cross-examination.
And then I should be able to get redirect, right? Your Honor.
So disrespectful.
Ask a question, or I will declare the examination by you to be ended.
It's not an examination, it's direct.
It's a direct examination, sir. Under 90611, you are directed to ask a question, or I will ask the state if they have any questions.
I heard you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Next question, please.
Yeah, the jury's impressed by that, let me tell you. Oh yeah, he's getting really fired up.
Know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Yes,
Who's the plaintiff?
the state of Wisconsin.
Is that an entity or a living human being?
Objection.
Grounds.
Not relevant, sustained. Next question.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff?
Please.
Objection. Vague.
Sustained
Vague.
as to the form of the
Have
question.
you ever had any interaction with the state of Wisconsin?
Do not answer that question. Next question, sir. Under 90611.
Was there an objection or was that just a ruling? I'm not sure. You're both was talking at the same time.
Under 90611, I
Boy, you
directed
just
the
wanna
witness
punch
not
him in
to
the
answer
face,
that
don't you?
irrelevant question. Ask your next question, sir.
Ooh, he's giving the mean mug to the prosecution. Very scary when you're chained to the table.
Mr. Brooks, ask your next question.
I'm gonna get to it.
I'ma get to it. What a piece of crap.
So when did you first report your alleged injury?
You do not have to answer that question.
Exactly.
Next question, sir.
Grounds for
90611, sub 1, sub A, sub B, and sub C.
You're badgering the
is that
witness.
lawful law?
All right, you may sit down. Does the state have any questions for this witness?
Ma'am, that day on November 21st of last year, you were there with 2 kids?
I was, yes.
What were their ages on that date?
Objection.
3
witness.
and
Overrule, the witness may answer.
Of course it's gonna be overruled.
3 and 6.
And I don't know, Mr. Brooks can sit down. I'm gonna ask any questions.
I really do get sick of him standing up.
Mr. Brooks, please sit down.
So rude. Disrespectful.
Mr. Brooks, you're not asking the questions.
I'm not saying
I would ask you to sit down, please. It is disrespectful to this witness and to the state and to the court.
no, it's not.
Jury's seeing all this. Jury needs to know.
I'm just merely standing here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were at the parade, on November 21st of last year, approximately where were you watching the parade from?
Ask and answer the objection.
Mr. Brooks, it's cross-examination. Just because you asked the question initially and she answered it, does not mean the state doesn't get to follow up on it.
So the state can ask the same question I
The
asked.
state can ask their questions.
So how
Go
come when
ahead.
I did that?
Hey, blah, blah,
Witness
blah.
may
It's the
answer.
same.
Maybe you should have gotten
I
an attorney.
was on Main Street, but right by where the intersection of White Rock, and I was in the roadway.
I'm going to show you what's been marked and previously admitted to evidence as state season of 15.
Go ahead.
And I'd ask that the screen be cleared. And ma'am, does this show?
Wait until it's in the jury box.
sorry.
I'm sorry. The jury would let me know when it's there. Thank you, it's there now. Go ahead.
Ma'am, do you see a purple line on that would indicate the parade route going from White Rock Avenue down Main Street?
Yes, I do.
And can you approximate where you and your kids were watching the parade?
Yes. Do you want?
If you, I'm sorry, it's a touch screen. You didn't say that. Touch screens, just put a dot right where it is.
Maybe on the other side of that red line?
So, okay, can we clear the screen and maybe just put a dot? I think that, or a circle. I think a circle would be good. Okay, thank you. Would be fair to say is to your left would have been Pleasant Street.
That is correct.
Were there barricades blocking Pleasant Street?
There were
Objection asked
big.
and answered.
Shut up. And he's still
There were
standing up. It's
barricades
so annoying.
that were partially blocked. They were on Main Street, but partially blocking Pleasant Street as well.
Could a car have gone down Pleasant Street?
Yes.
Objection.
Okay.
Overruled,
You're
the
saying.
witness may answer.
And he's still standing up. It's
So when
so
the red
rude.
SUV came down White Rock Avenue and was making its turn onto East Main Street, as you testified, it could have just gone straight onto Pleasant Street, correct?
That is
Objection.
correct.
This here says she's speaking as
No,
a
hold
first
on.
eyewitness,
There's an
first-hand
objection.
eyewitness.
Mr. Brooks, your objection is noted. It's overruled. The witness
As
may
usual.
answer.
It's always overruled.
Just remember, the jury's there. They're seeing all this.
Sorry, there's a lot of talking. Your question was, just to clarify, could the vehicle have gone straight onto Pleasant Street? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. And where you stated that you and your kids were partially in the roadway when the red SUV came through?
Yes, we were.
Objection.
And
That's mischaracterization of what was testified to.
Oh my
Overruled.
gosh.
The witness may answer. Go ahead.
Give me an answer.
Can you repeat it?
Sure. Were you and your kids all in the roadway when the red SUV went through?
Yes, we were.
Okay. You weren't part of the parade, correct?
We were not.
Okay. So were you standing with other people that were in the roadway?
Yes, we were.
And was one of your kids going to get candy when the red SUV came through?
Yes, my
Objection.
daughter.
Speaking as a first-hand eyewitness.
No.
Because she is a first-hand eyewitness.
I'm talking about you.
The objection is noted. It's overruled. The
Gosh.
question is proper, and the witness may answer.
Oh
Yes,
my
my
gosh.
daughter was further in the roadway. We were all in the road, but she was further in the roadway, reaching to grab candy.
At any other time, you stated that this was towards the end of the parade, is that correct?
Yeah, we saw Santa, and he's always like the end of the parade.
And had your daughter gone to get candy at other times?
The entire time.
Had she, during the time preceding the red SUV coming through, had she almost been struck by any other participants in the parade?
No, she was nowhere near like where the vehicles were driving through the parade. She was no.
So she's going out to get some candy that had been thrown, I assume, correct?
Yes.
And
Overruled. The witness's answer may stand.
if you see this red SUV coming, is it coming from your right or from your left?
The red SUV was coming from my right side, which was White Rock.
Okay. And how close did it come to your daughter?
It was, I wouldn't be able to give an accurate judgment, but it felt very, very close.
Had you not pulled your daughter away, would that car have hit your daughter?
Objection is speculative.
Overruled.
It's very possible.
So you say that you saw a police officer have some contact with the red SUV. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Can you describe that for the jury?
Well, there was a few times that police officers attempted to stop the red SUV. The first one was been where we were on Main and White Rock, and then there were also other people trying to stop it too. And
There were
then
others.
again, as it
Wow.
drove, once it turned onto Main, the next road, I believe is Buckley, and there was another officer who tried to stop that red SUV again.
And which is the officer who had to step out of the way in order to not get hit by the red SUV?
What was the question?
Where was the officer located who had to step out of the way to avoid being struck by the red SUV?
I believe that was the officer around Buckley and Maine.
And ma'am, as the car passed your location, did it increase its speed?
Yes.
Do you know where in the roadway it traveled down?
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
The direction of travel?
Where in the road? Was it on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, or in the middle?
It was all over the road.
You saw it all over the road?
Yes.
So going, and why don't you
Sure.
describe for the jury what you saw?
Driving the vehicle, once it turned onto Main, it drove side to side, and then I lost sight when there were through the people as it got down the hill.
Nothing further.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord.
You read the rest.
He's going to be an arrogant ass.
You said you observed multiple officers try to stop the vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes.
You described one at, I think you said it was Buckley, right?
Yes.
Why didn't you report the other officers that you allegedly saw attempt to stop the vehicle?
Allegedly. Oh, boy.
I don't know what you're asking.
The report that the interview that was conducted with the FBI, that was who did your interview, correct?
Yes.
Why is it not in the report about the multiple officers that you say you saw attempted to stop the vehicle?
I don't know why it wasn't put in the report.
Do you recall if you told the FBI agents?
It's been a year. I believe so, but it's been a year.
When you say it's been a year, I'm assuming that means that there's some details you don't quite recall all the way. That is fair to say.
Yes.
So it would be fair to say that if there's details you don't recall, how can you recall path of travel of the SUV that you claim you saw?
Can you rephrase the question? I'm not understanding.
I think it was clear, but I'll ask again.
He says it so many times, but it's not clear.
Just acknowledge that there may be some details that you don't quite recall. So would it be fair to say that you don't quite recall the path of travel of the vehicle?
No, that is not correct.
That's right, you tell him.
Judging by what you just stated, would it be fair to say that that's a possibility?
No.
So you recall all the details of what you observed that evening, November 21st, 2021?
No.
So what other details do you not recall?
Objection. Your Honor, how does someone recall the details that they don't recall?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Sustain
How
this
can
to
you
the
recall
form of
some
the
details,
question.
not others? Seems very funny. Seems almost as if you're recalling what you want to recall and purposely not recall.
Objection.
Don't-
Badgering the witness.
Yes, sustained. You do not have to answer that, and you are warned. You may not badger or argue with this witness. Next question.
Badger or argue. What do you mean?
You know.
Next question.
What do you mean?
Don't intimidate the witness is what I mean.
How am I intimidating the witness?
Badgering
look
the
at
witness
yourself.
By eye rolling, by pursing your lips, by making facial movements regarding
Does
her
she
answers
feel intimidated?
is badgering the witness.
Are you kidding me?
Under 90611,
You really
please
can't-
ask
you
your
really can't
next
be serious.
question.
You can't be serious right now. Intimidating the witness. What have I done to intimidate the witness?
Are you kidding me? Are you
The
kidding
last
me?
question was badgering, which is a form can
But you
be.
said
Mr. Brooks, I've made my
Yeah,
ruling
you need to
under
be quiet.
90611. Please ask a question.
Just remember,
I will stop the
the
question.
jury is watching.
Under 90611, sub 1, sub A, sub B, and sub C, ask you
This
the next question
is
where
what
the questioning of
the
this
jury
witness
needs to
will
know.
end.
Judge. How are you even a judge?
All right, you may step down now. Thank you.
How are you even a judge? Come on, man. This must be all about the 62 trust, right? That you want to
Wow.
be the beneficiary of.
I'm going to
Cute.
give the jury their closing instruction. We are done with testimony for today. Please do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented. And I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until your final deliberations in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not contact or speak with the jurors. Do not listen to any conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might be helpful to you in understanding the issues presented. Do not investigate this case on your own or visit the scene either in person or by any electronic means. Do not read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio, television, over the internet, or any other electronic application or tool about this trial. Do not consult dictionaries, computers, electronic applications, social media, the internet, or other reference materials for additional information. Do not seek information regarding the public records of any party or witness in this case. Any information you obtain outside the courtroom could be misleading, inaccurate, or incomplete. Relying on this information is unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain,
I sure
or
hope their
correct
baby
it.
looks like
Do not
Erica and not
communicate
him.
with anyone about
Or
this
their
trial
daughter, I
or
should
your
say.
experience as a juror while you are serving on this jury. Do not use a computer, cell phone, or other electronic device, including personal wearable electronics applications or tools with communication capabilities, to share any information about this case. For example, do not communicate by telephone, blog post, email, text message, instant message, social media post, or in any other way on or off
No
the computer.
blinking.
Do not permit anyone to communicate with you about this matter, either in person, electronically, or by any other means. If anyone does so, despite you telling them not to,
Why isn't he wearing his mask today when he's coughing all that crud everywhere?
when you go home in the evening to discuss discuss this case
Doesn't make
with another
sense.
member of your household, but you may not do so. This case must be decided by you, the jurors, based on the evidence presented in the courtroom. People not serving on this jury have not heard the evidence, and it is improper for them to influence your deliberations and decision in this case. After this trial
That's what
is
he's got,
completed, you
the
are
mean
free to
mug.
communicate with anyone in any manner. These rules are intended to assure that jurors remain impartial throughout the trial. If any juror has reason to believe that another juror has violated these rules, you should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. I'll have the jurors report on Monday at 9 a.m. Thank you. You are excused. Please rise for the jury.
Oh, he's already risen. He's standing there like an idiot. Oh, yourself a judge.
Put up in here, don't even tell the jury the truth. Got no integrity whatsoever.
Hmm.
None.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Let's guess. He's not gonna sit down. Gosh, it's so annoying.
I would like an update on whether Mr. Brooks filled out a subpoena for Dawn Woods. Provided that to the state. Has that been done?
No, we haven't received anything, Your Honor, and obviously she can appear here voluntarily if Mr. Brooks wants to arrange that. I don't believe a subpoena is necessary. We had subpoenaed her and she was under state subpoena. So I know that at least some point she had notice, but our position would be, Your Honor, that we will not be responsible in any fashion for producing Miss Woods. Mr. Brooks talks to her on a daily basis. If he wants her here, he can produce her on Monday.
Yeah, they ain't gotta worry about that.
So I just wanted to know, because I know a subpoena form was filled out.
If I want her to be here, she gonna be here.
I agree with
So
the
just
state
know
that
that.
she could certainly appear.
It ain't even gotta be no arrangement. All I gotta say is come. She gonna come. That simple.
Mr. Brooks, do you intend to call her as a witness? Because I'm directing you
We
to
said-
have her
we
here
said
at
all
9
that- We said all that at the beginning, man. Like, I don't even want to be in here that much longer. Just do what you got to do so I can get up out of here. I'm tired of being in the courtroom that has no integrity whatsoever. How can you even call yourself a
Mr.
judge?
Brooks, I need to make a record of
I
some
need to
things.
make a record too.
Oh, no, you don't.
You don't
When
need
am
to.
I going to get the chance to do that?
All right, I need to make a record. He's being
Get to
removed to the other
every
courtroom.
day.
He is yelling at me. He's not going to let me make a statement or make the record that I need to make.
I'm finna
He
leave
hasn't
anyway,
sat
so what
down
do it
for
matter? You
the
can
better
hold
part
me in
of 2
contempt all
hours.
you want. You can hold me in contempt all you want.
I'm not holding
All you
you
gotta
in
do is tell me
contempt.
if it's criminal or civil, so I can hit
Right.
you with
I need to
what
clear
you
the
know is
courtroom because
coming.
I do need
I'm
to
gonna give
make.
you what you know is coming.
I need him to go to the
If
other
it's civil,
courtroom because I do need to put some things
it's
on the
civil,
record. The record should
Where's the
reflect
contract between you and I?
that Mr. Brooks
If it's
is
criminal,
yelling at
Oh,
what
me.
is
for
the
gosh
crime?
sake.
He is.
Who makes the claim? And what
He
is
is. I will make the record when we get back. I will step off, but Mr. Brooks, you're being
It ain't
taken
no
to
Mr.
the
It
next
ain't no Mr.
courtroom.
Brooks. Don't try to address me
Thank
like
you.
that, like we cool. You don't have no integrity. How can you even call yourself a judge? Making tacit agreements, being biased, judicial misconduct, trying to steal somebody's session.
Oh, for gosh sake. Well, there's another installment of Darrell abusing his witnesses and them scoring another point for the prosecution. That just, that one infuriates me. Because the witness is trying to stay as composed as she can, and I think she did just fine, but Darrell always just wants to make it the Darrell show. Not surprising, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all are doing well. Thank you so much for subscribing and commenting and hanging in there with me. I really do appreciate it. I love you all. Be kind to one another. Be kind to you. And I'll see you the next time.